Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Pregame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me, it's the Flyperbole himself. That's right. It's Broad Street Hockey's Steve Jaco. What's going on tonight, Steve?
What's going on, gang? How we doing? We all feeling good about the Dallas Stars? I know Dallas sucks, but this team's not too bad.
I know it just dawned on me. I didn't even realize they were playing Dallas. Like ALLCITY launched the DLLS earlier last year, and we should have done a crossover with them. And you know, obviously they have the hockey edge, but we could at least been like, oh, what are you guys doing for the playoffs this weekend? And
how are the Cowboys doing? Who are they playing this
could
weekend?
have had some fun with that. But it's the Dallas Stars in town tonight, and they're not. It's funny, they're not quite as good this season as, like, I think we all look at them, like Charlie picks them to win the cup, I think, every year. And we all look at them and like, oh, they have such a good mix of like elite young talent, a good goalie, the veterans, obviously Tyler Seguin's still hurt, but they come in, they're third in the Central, they're 7 points behind Winnipeg for the division lead. And the Central's awesome. It's like, oh, third in the Central, that's pretty damn good, but that's with, you know, Colorado going the first 3 months of the season without maybe a save.
It was bad.
Like, they had a goalie. He played 2 good games. And like, here's a 5-year contract.
It's a 5-year contract. Great. It's anything. I think we're in a similar boat at this point.
Yeah,
if we just found anybody who could make a save, Danny Briere's like, you're the goalie for life.
You are the goalie. But Dallas comes in tonight. The Flyers actually did pretty well against them last year. They had that 5-4 win against them in which they scored 3 shorthanded goals in that game.
Oh, that was nuts. I almost forgot about that.
That was
game.
Like the 3rd game of the season or something. It was in October, I believe.
Yes.
And then they beat them 5-1 in January. It was almost a year ago. It was like January 18th where they really racked it up. Owen Tippett had 2 goals. That
was the Spinorama goal, right?
Really sick. That back, like the highlight that shows you why we all get frustrated. Because if it was just like we were talking right before we went on air about Morgan Frost, like, I don't even think anyone has the energy to be upset with him anymore. Like, how can you be frustrated with a guy who's just like, he is what he is? Like, Owen Tippett shows you that, and you're like, he's so good. Yeah. And now he's on like a 7-game streak without a goal. Spoiler, we're going to be talking about him during the bets. But let's get to tonight's lineup for the Flyers-Stars matchup down at the Wells Fargo Center. Steve, no changes amongst the skaters, at least. We are going to be going, it appears, with Paling, centering Tippett and Konechny again, Frost with Lawton and Misch. The Cates, Forster, Brink line stays together, and Coots, Farabee, the enforcer Farabee, and Garnett Hathaway on that 4th line. York, Sanheim, Zamula, Risto, Sealer, Dry Guy.
Do you think John Tortorella put all the names into like a bucket and then just like poured them out and whatever happened, happened?
I think with the way Couturier's offensive game was trending, they had to do something. And something was, you know what? We don't have a dynamic center. It should be Morgan Frost. It isn't. So we're just going to keep that line together, see what happens. Let's give him Lawton. Maybe that'll help him out on the forecheck or something. Let's just have Paling speed with Tippett and see if that, that's a really fast line.
It is a fast line.
Konechny's the slowest guy on the line, and he's pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
Maybe we just, let's try to get the transition game going. Paling's a good forechecker. He's decent defensively. Let's try it.
It's a real warm body strategy.
Yeah, it's really, Charlie and I have been saying, I've been saying to Charlie, do you think this is Torts kind of just being like, Danny, this is what you gave me. Like, yes, Ryan Paling and Noah Cates are our 2 best centers. So we're going to play them like our 1 and 2C.
It's like, of course you can't eat dinner. You gave me crap ingredients.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just what we're going with here. A lot of this, I look at this and it's so much about wanting to keep the Cates line together.
Which I get.
I get it because it's been their only actually effective line for the last month and a half. As things move along and it's Cates has looked good, Forster, Brink. I think he's been playing well, but he still hasn't scored. At a certain point, do you think maybe put Michkov on that line? Like, if the other 2 are going, we know Forster can score. Cates, hell of a forechecker, makes that great play for the 2nd TK goal the other night. Looks better as a center. Not just to get Michkov going, because that's what we all want.
We want it. We need it.
That's
Give
the
it to
point.
us.
That's the point of the season is watching Matvei Michkov.
I don't care about anything else.
But this team, obviously the goaltending is sinking it. But like all the advanced numbers, Charlie keeps telling me like they're good. The skaters in front of the goalies, for the most part, playing pretty well, at least process-wise. Well, if this line is good, and especially this duo, Michkov can score. Maybe we get a line on the ice that can actually freaking score. Like put him with guys that are going, and maybe that works for the whole team because now we can score more than 1 or 2 goals every game.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten Forrester out of the gate. Has been getting one, and then crickets for a while.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Michkov going because, as you said, that is the point of the season. We all want Matvei Michkov.
After that last game, and I think Jason Martinez on Flyers Daily echoed this today, he didn't score a goal. He didn't get an assist. He should have.
Oh, he should have.
Well, again, we'll talk about that. Yeah. But that was one of Michkov's, the last game against Toronto, most noticeable games in a month. And one of his best games of the season.
Well, he did have the best hit of the season on Scott Lawton.
Yeah, that also bone-crushing hit that sent 2 guys to the concussion room.
That was one of those like
hit of the year and kiss of the year.
It was.
The Flyers keep running into each other. That's like the 3rd friendly fire hit in the last like 5 games. I feel like
it's not great, Bill.
And they're all big. They're not running into each other.
They're demolishing
like each other out.
Like, but those are the hits you want Ristolainen like laying on people, and they're doing it to each other.
Like Mish had 8 shots on goal. I think it was 11 attempts. Obviously, what should have been the game-tying assist. And in those last few minutes of the game, those power plays, the offensive zone possessions, he's not just getting scoring chances. I saw him lay a hit to keep a possession alive. I saw him come around the net as the Leafs were trying to break out and poke check a guy from behind to force a turnover to keep that possession alive. He was everywhere. You got to feel like he's going to get going. So maybe they keep this line together. But I'm starting to get interested in Forster, Cates, Michkov, which is, especially the Cates end of this. Wow, that's where we are.
And I feel like, didn't we get a preview of this? I can't remember what game and exactly when, but I feel like one of the games, briefly, it was Forrester, Cates, Michkov playing together, and I liked what I saw.
I do remember him with Cates. I don't remember who the other winger was. Yeah. It makes sense if it was Forster, but I would like to maybe see that get a little run.
Into it big time. Forrester and Cates get you that defensive prowess so that Matvei can really focus on what he does well, and that's the offensive game.
Before we go any further, I want to talk about Sam Ersson and stuff, but we have to talk about game time, baby. That's right. The Flyers on a little bit of a homestand right now. And listen, we're going on Saturday, the PHLY Sweet Takeover for the Cutter game. It's going to be a ton of fun, but it's sold out. Our Sweet Takeover sold out. You can't hang out with us, but you can still get great seats to that game by going to Game Time. That's right. And with the new feature, Game Time Picks, they've made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events by filtering out the fluff and showing you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. And you still have all the same features that made Game Time the #1 secondary ticket marketplace, from the all-in pricing, the seat views, the low price guarantee, and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It is almost game time, and it's game time for Sam Ersson, Steve. Sam Ersson, the story of the night. He makes his return again from his 3rd lower body injury of the season.
Is it only 3?
You know, he comes in, yes, and we got the confirmation from Charlie. It was funny. I felt bad for Chuck this morning. He tweets from practice, "Oh, Sam's out here at morning skate, but I can't imagine he dresses tonight." And like 20 minutes later, he's like, "Yeah, he's starting."
I can't fathom a world in which this happens.
Yeah, so they're going to throw him back out there tonight and see what happens. I hope it's not same as, a couple of times they've done this. But his season has been kind of weird because you look at the numbers right now. They're dreadful. I mean, 884, he's the best by save percentage, but that's like, if he was 880, he'd be the best. If he was 878, he'd be like, the goalies are the worst in the league. But it didn't really start that way for Sam. So his first 9 games, he goes 4-2-1. He has a .901 save percentage. He has a shutout. Starting to look a little bit like that first 2/3 of the season Ersson from last year. Looking good. But that 9th game, he leaves after only like 7.5 minutes on November 2nd, that Boston game, lower body injury. He's only out a week, comes back November 9th. He makes 2 starts, .903 save percentage in those 2 starts. But then we don't see him again. He plays November 11th, plays okay, and then we don't see him again for a month. And that's when it really comes apart for him. Ersson's first game back from the second injury, the re-aggravation of the first injury, absolute disaster. 2-4-0 with an 8-10. 8-10. He stopped 81% of the shots. He let it...
I mean, 81 was always good for me at school.
Yeah, that's, by those numbers, absolutely.
Sure, B-.
1 out of every 5 shots went in on him. He let up 3 or more goals in each of those 6 games, and then he started to rebound a little bit, stopped 22 of 23 in Anaheim, shut out the Sharks for 40 minutes, but of course, games are 60 minutes. He did not come back out for that third period. He was 2-0-0 with a .979. He stopped 47 of 48 over 100 minutes, but we haven't seen him since that night, and now he's back. Steve, what the hell can we expect from this guy?
I don't know what to expect, and there's a lot of things that you can say are disappointing about this season, for sure. I think my number one most disappointing thing about this season is Sam Ersson, because I was really hoping that when he would step up this season, that he'd actually step up into that starter's role. And I don't need him to be amazing. I don't need Sam Ersson to blow the world away. I just need him to be a good stopgap for at least the next 2-3 years while the Flyers figure out this whole building a competitive team thing. And this team would be a lot more competitive. This team would be in the playoff race if they had a steady starter. But we were talking about this in the BSH Slack earlier today, but just the amount of inexperience they had with the goaltenders coming into this season is just wild to think about. We were looking back at previous Flyer seasons, and I think the only season that really we could compare to this, at least based off of very limited research I did this morning, was, I think it was 82-83 when it was Lindbergh and Bob Froese or something like that. It was a very inexperienced group then, and it was a very inexperienced group this year. But they don't have PHLY Lindbergh, unfortunately.
No, yeah, that's the issue. It's Flyers have gone into seasons with inexperienced goalies, and it's worked out. We've had Ron Hextall take him to a cup.
Bobrovsky?
Yeah, Bobrovsky. But this year it's been a disaster. And in Charlie's article today, check it out at allphly.com, he basically wrote yeah, you can be mad at the team for being where they are right now. And honestly, I think it's giving people a lot of, well, your rebuild plans to be competitive, how's that going? Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But the Flyers have an .868 full season team save percentage. That includes empty net goals, but they're at .877. It's not much better without the empty net goals. The last time a team over a full season had something around an .868, 1993-94. And that's really the beginning of the 90s when you talk about prior to that, it's the 80s when, 885 could win you a Vezina.
Right. That's before the lock came into play, before Garth Snow started getting Empire State Building size pads.
And it was the Ottawa Senators who were a second-year franchise. It's the year after their expansion season. It's the worst goaltending in literally 30 years. That's what the Flyers, since the league became what it is in terms of goaltending, modern age, this is the worst it's been.
I think most of the people listening to this weren't born.
Yeah.
And I was just a little guy at the time.
Yeah, I was, how old am I, 36? Yeah, I was 4, 5, 6 years old. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how bad this has been. My hope for Sam Ersson this year was he proves to be competent in this number one role that they were going to have him in. So ultimately, hopefully, a few years from now, we can go, you're our tandem or backup guy, and we have a good duo, whether it's a 1A, 1B, or he's the back. He's part of it, even if he's not, he's a top 10 Vezina guy. Probably never, but at least good. He has not seized the reins. And even if you look at, some of his numbers are really being sunk by the injury stop-start, that's part of it. You can't depend on it. Michael Neuvert was a good goalie.
Oh, yeah.
But if he can't play, how does that help you?
Michael Neuvert had one of the greatest starts in Flyers postseason history.
Yes, absolutely.
That start against the Capitals was unbelievable. And he was when he was on, he was fantastic.
But if he can't play, what's it matter?
Couldn't play. And we just need reliability at this point. We need a guy who can be in there every other night, and just play solid goal in there, you know, and this just sucks to watch him go through this. And look, I know, as you were saying, the injuries aren't all his fault, but it is part of the process. And he can't be the starter for this team because this is going to affect the next 2 off seasons. This is going to be a big deal for this team because I was really hoping that this team wouldn't have to spend assets on goaltending over the next couple of years.
Just a veteran guy who can get them over through the next couple of years, but they're going to have to.
They're going to have to.
Unless one of these 2 Russians really steps up and Sam Ersson stays healthy through the second half, which even then, like, can you depend?
I don't know that you can depend on it.
I'm fine with just going through this year and saying, yeah, goaltending sunk us. That's the case. And I don't think they're going to be trying to compete next year, like in terms of we want to be top 3 in the division or something. But
you're going to lose that locker room.
Yeah, you can't do this to the players on the ice. And like, yeah, it doesn't. We're going to demand you give us everything every night, and also you have no chance.
Right. You think
you have no chance.
You think Travis Konechny, who's been putting up career numbers for the past couple of years, is going to want to deal with this? And I know you signed a big contract and everything, but you don't want a disgruntled locker room from one of your leaders. And Travis Konechny deserves better.
It's going to sink them. Like, no matter how strong the culture is, if you go out night in, night out, and like do what you did in back-to-back games against the Leafs, and like stay even or outplay them and lose, go 0-1-1 against them, get 1 out of 4 points because the goalies like just let in a soft goal way too often, it's going to demoralize them.
Well, and if you think about the biggest factor, we already mentioned it, the Michkov of it all.
Yeah.
I don't want to discourage young Matvei Michkov as he's coming up in the league. I don't want him to get frustrated. I also don't want him to get into this loser mentality, you know? I know mentality is an overrated part of sports and everything to a degree, but there is something to be said for having a loser mentality and the frustration that comes with all that losing earlier in your career. And I don't want him to deal with that. I want him to have fun and enjoy being a Philadelphia Flyer.
So 41 games left starting tonight. They're going to Ersson. He appears to be healthy, so they have 3 healthy goalies. Now, the smart thing would be, let's send one down. Let's just go with a 1 and 2. None of these guys have proven they can handle any sort of workload, that they're competent at all.
It's almost like 2 of these guys should be in the AHL.
It's at least.
At least. I think Sam Ersson, you can say Sam Ersson can play at an NHL level. The health is the major concern there. Kolosov and Fedotov, they are just not the reaction times, the tracking of the puck. They can't play the NHL level game at this point yet. They're not ready for the speed of it because the NHL speed is unlike anything. It's the fastest league in the world. It's the best league in the world.
The speed, the traffic, all of it. Just the level of shooters they're against.
Yeah, like we saw that with Tavares.
The Tavares goal, it's like, I'm going to show you half this net because I'm so afraid of getting beat short side. Like, you can't play scared, man. You're the goalie.
No.
Like, you're the last line of defense.
Tavares, you know, you might have arguments that he's not the player he once was, but he's still a very, very good hockey player.
He's a point-a-game player with 20 goals. Like, he's pretty damn good.
He picked his spot like a pro, and he was like, that's a goal. Easy. No problem.
So with these 3 healthy goalies, this is a thing I've been mulling over. Let's Ersson, trouble staying healthy. The other guys not separating themselves from each other. At least until like 4 Nations or the trade deadline, let's go. Everyone plays 1 out of every 3. Let's just go in a straight rotation no matter what and see who separates themselves. And if no one does, you have to have a real look at this team in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was really hoping that somebody would step up and be the starter this year. And look, we have lots of opportunity for that to happen. Somebody can still step up. And I'm looking at you, Sam Ersson. I know you can do it, bud. Prove us all. I don't know if it's wrong or right at this point, but just be healthy, my guy. I don't know if you have to stretch out better, if you have to get an amulet like Tavares.
Maybe get the amulet.
Whatever you got to do, get healthy because I know you can do it. I know you can at least be a stopgap starter until Zavragin the Dragon's ready to come over and kick some butt.
Zavragin the Dragon. I like it. All right, now we have to get to our bets segment. That's right. This pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, just one tonight, and I've sworn off it for a little while because I felt like I was jinxing him for a bit. But we're going back to the well. We're going with an Owen Tippett anytime goal. It's plus 280 on Bet365. He's got no goals and only 2 assists through his last 7 games. And that's actually his season-long slump for goal scoring. He's had a 5, a 4, a 5, a 6. No 7s. This is his longest of the season. I think he can end that tonight. He scored twice, including, like we said, that beauty spinorama against the Stars last time they played about a year ago. You know he's going to want to make up for missing what should have been the gimme game-tying goal against the Leafs a couple of nights ago.
Ugh.
I'm expecting one of those kind of like big Tippett games we get every now and then where he's all over the place. He's a little physical. His passing's been coming along lately. I think we're in for a good Tippett night tonight.
I'm into that big time. I love it. And if I had to throw one other thing out there, I'm liking Tyson Forrester to continue his hot streak. I just love what I've been seeing from Typho lately.
Yeah, that line has been going. Noah Cates has really found another level, and Tyson can finish. Like, when he gets that shot off, we saw it. Who did he, absolutely blow? Was that Hildeby? He, blew him away in the first Leafs game where he was just like, oh, did not see that coming.
I mean, for a guy who supposedly can't skate, he really can just, pull out some moves sometimes. And, hey, he plays defense, too. He's the whole package, baby.
He is. We're big Tyson Forster fans here. So I would it's Tippett and Forster, man. The right wings converted to left wings of the future because Joel Farabee is a fourth-line enforcer now.
Oh, my God. What a world. What a world.
That's the world we live in. And now I want to talk a little bit about the Dallas Stars because this is something that always just perplexes, how small the margin is in pro sports, but especially the NHL, where a couple of bad picks, a couple of bad contracts versus maybe get a little lucky in the draft or whatever, and you're just in 2 totally different places. The Dallas Stars are, without a doubt, Stanley Cup contenders. Not having maybe the season some people expected. Tyler Sagan's out. He's been out a month. He's going to be out probably the entire season.
It's a pretty big field in the playoffs, and all you have to do is get in, and they have one of the biggest pieces that you're always looking for, and that's a legit starting goaltender.
Yeah, with Jake Ottinger, and they're a Cup contender. The Stars are what the Flyers could be in an alternate universe, Steve. Obviously, there's the 2017 draft that we can always go back to. Flyers win that lottery, pick number 2, get Nolan Patrick, the guy, the consensus number 1 for 18 months, and he's out of the league.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Stars are at 3, and they get Miro Heiskanen, a legit franchise defenseman.
There are some other names after that, but I'd rather not get into that. I'd rather never think about that again.
You can't go wrong with any of them.
No. We went with the one you go wrong.
Colorado was furious because they were horrible that year. They were like the Flyers in 2007. How don't we have the first pick?
Yeah.
And then they end up with Cale Makar, who's only won everything already.
Yeah, he's just amazing. Yeah. He's just a phenom.
Yeah.
And Heiskanen has just been a rock-solid defenseman for the Dallas Stars. I'm very jealous of, again, any of those picks after the Flyers, but that's a solid one. I would love if they had him.
You go further down in that draft. Dallas trades some picks to get back into the first round in 2017. They select Jake Ottinger at number 26.
He's all right.
Another huge piece for them. Their franchise netminder, not netminder. The Flyers, 1 pick later, trade Braden Shen to get back into the first round and select Morgan Frost.
I liked it at the time.
Yeah, me too. I wanted Tolvainen, but it's not like that would be.
Not like that would help. Yeah, we got Morgan Frost, who the coach loves.
In the second round of that draft, Steve, the Flyers trade up from 44 to 35 and draft my guy, Isaac Ratcliffe, who I wanted at 13 when they were still going to be drafting there before they won the lottery.
He was a big boy.
He was. I loved him.
Yeah, I wanted him to work out. I'm still disappointed he didn't work out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, at 39, 4 picks later, Stars get Jason Robertson. Then you go just a year later in the second round, 2018. Flyers select this is the first round, 2018. Flyers select an American D-man, Cam York, at 14th. Stars select American D-man Thomas Harley at 18th. I like Cam York.
I like Cam York, too.
I think I like Thomas Harley a little better, though.
Yeah, but would we all rather have Cole Caulfield when it comes down to it?
Well, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
We're always cursed by that one,
2021, this is Flyers draft in the second round, 46th overall, Samu Tuamala. Next pick, Stars draft, Logan Stankoven. Listen.
I wanted the stank.
They also had the 48th pick, the Stars. They took Artem Grushnikov, and they traded him last year at the deadline, and it landed them Chris Tanev and a goalie prospect. So,
wow, a goalie prospect.
Yeah, just some guy.
That
he might be unsigned. I looked into it, couldn't figure it out, gave up.
I don't know. I
Didn't
just
really,
need a goalie.
Didn't
Goalie's
really
a
matter.
trigger word for me right now.
But like that's a whole bunch of almost exact same assets that they have turned into becoming cup contenders. And the Flyers have turned into, we're rebuilding.
Yeah, we're rebuilding, but we're not going to tank, but we're still going to try to compete. And we don't know who the goalie is. We don't have any centers. The defense is all right, but we still need pieces. It's good. It's all part of the plan.
And that's listen, I mentioned Logan Stankoven. I did pick him in our preseason predictions to win the Calder. And he was off to a hell of a start. It was him and Michkov battling it out for the first month or so of the season. And as much as Michkov has fallen off a little, only like 1 goal in his last 14 games or something, he's still second in rookie scoring. Stankoven is down to 6th, and he has no goals, 4 assists in his last 22 games.
On a good team.
But they're having like a lot of guys just having not the season you expected from them, but they have so much quantity of quality. And it's like, we're still pretty good.
Right. The Flyers, like, Michkov has the excuse that the Flyers are an abject mess.
Yes.
Right. They are a team without an identity, a team that just does not know what they're doing right now. The Stars are a good team with cup contention, dreams over there.
It's just insane. And, like, I guess in 2017, like, what were the Flyers going to take Jake Ottinger? Like, if they move up a pick, like, if they get the what would it be, the 25th pick off of Montreal instead?
They weren't going to get Ottinger at the time because
they drafted Carter Hart the year prior, so probably not. But you just look at it and, like, you're this close to being this team, which we would die for, and you had all of the exact same assets.
I believe they call this a sliding doors moment, and that's very much what it is. It is a painful what if.
All right, Brenda tells me the official lines are in the warm-up lines. Jordan Hall has tweeted it out, and it's what we think. It's Cates with Forster and Brink, Paling with Tippett and Konechny, Frost with Lawton and Misch, and Coots with Farabee and Hathaway. The D is what it has been, York, Sanheim, Zamula, Risto, Sealer, Drysdale. So that's what we're going with tonight, Steve. What do you think about this one? The Flyers have been playing well-ish for the most part, but the goaltending has just been so bad. Now, this is Ersson's first start since I guess that was, New Year's Eve. You would think that the Stars are going to roll in this game.
I don't feel good about this for the Philadelphia Flyers.
The Flyers have had this ability over the last couple of years, even though we talked yesterday, like they don't have the wins against the top 10 teams like they did last year. Obviously, goaltending a major part of that. But they've played well against them. Like, you just look at those Leafs games and go, if you bring that effort every night, you can win if you get some competency in net.
Oh, they should have won that second Leafs game. They absolutely should have won that second Leafs game, I think. I mean, you do have stuff like Tavares just picking his shot and taking it, but ultimately they should have won that game. They played well enough, especially in the first 2 periods. But, I think they can win this one. It really does come down to competent goaltending. If Sam Ersson can show us what he was doing before he got this latest injury, then they have a great chance. The defense has been competent. They've kept the pairs together for a reason. There's a reason they haven't just been mixing those up every night. I would love to see some offense, especially out of Michkov tonight, Tippett, those guys who haven't stepped up. I think Cates, Forrester, Brink are going to keep doing their thing that they've been doing, but let's get the guys who have been cold for a little bit. Let's get them warmed up.
It's great that like Cates is kind of separating himself. That's been a conversation we've had. Like, he was kind of in that, well, what are these guys in the bottom 6 actually doing for you? Seems like we have a lot of just dudes who do the same thing. They're all kind of repetitive. Like, do we need Paling and Lawton and Cates all on the same team? And now suddenly, all right, we have a role for Noah Cates. He's separating himself. And Tyson Forster, he's continuing to develop. It's only his second year in the league. It's cool that they've been carrying the offense. That's nice. Travis Konechny's going to do Travis Konechny stuff. He was a little cold with goal scoring. So what does he do? Oh, yeah, just a couple against the Leafs, to get to 20 on, like, cold a little bit goal scoring. He's on a 40-goal pace.
And he's easily the leader on the team.
Yes, he's the best player on the team. Yeah. The other guys, though, like, we're depending on Owen Tippett and Matvei Michkov and even Morgan Frost. Like, you guys got to get it going a little bit here.
Michkov at least has the excuse of being 20 years old and barely in the league. Tippett is... I talked about Ersson being like one of my biggest disappointments with the team, but Tippett's right up there with him because Tippett...
That was, we did our season review yesterday. Kelly's number 1, I think, was Tippett just because, like...
I know
we need you to be
he
so
has
good.
it in
Yeah,
him.
that's it's so frustrating.
I know he's got the speed. I know he's got the shot. And this was like the struggle we ran into that first like week or two of the season when he was ice cold. And look, I know goal scorers are extremely streaky creatures, but come on, man. We know you got it. We want you to do well. Do it. Come on.
All right. Well, this has been PHLY Flyers Pregame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. We'll be back live for postgame as soon as this goes final. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. That's where I do all my in-game tweeting. And follow the podcast, too. You know where to get that. All right. I'm Bill Matz. That's Steve Jaco. Until postgame, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.